Last season, I was in this park at Lake Merced for my son's cross-country practice, and I do what I normally do, which is I walk around while he's running. And as I was walking, I noticed something kind of embarrassing. I was noticing these houses that are surrounding the lake, and I was wondering, what do they look like? What's over here? And I realized I have never sold a house in this neighborhood. In 1,000+ transactions, 17 years in the business, how is there a neighborhood that I haven't sold a house in? I started wondering, what's going on? Maybe there's something wrong with it, or maybe it's one of the best kept secrets in San Francisco. I mean, look at this. Here's the thing. This is a neighborhood. As I started digging in, I started realizing it's a neighborhood all within 10 minutes. You have access to a lake. You have access to Fort Funston. You have a park beach, right, at Ocean Beach, which is just all within 10 minutes. Also, there's one of the best golf courses in San Francisco. You have Harding Park and Olympic Golf Course, Olympic Club, I think it is, all right here as well. I didn't know this until I was researching, maybe because I'm not a golfer, but Harding Park actually hosts one of the biggest golf tournaments in the United States, which is right here. So I thought we'd do something a little bit different. I thought we would walk through Lakeshore neighborhood together and we can see what it's really about. I'm Ruth Krishnan. I'm founder of the Krishnan team. And this year and last year, we have sold more homes than any other agent in San Francisco. And we're back here every Monday at 5 p.m. to bring you more videos like this one. Let's talk a little bit about where we're standing. So right now, we're in Lake Merced, and you have the ocean just that way. And then you've got UCSF I'm a little disorientated, but I think it's somewhere right around there. And then you also have the Stonestown Mall really close by. So some neighborhoods that you might have heard of, there's Pine Lake Park, Parkside really close by. You have West Portal pretty close by. But this neighborhood, I don't know, I think maybe because it's one of the last neighborhoods before you leave San Francisco. One of the streets that wraps around it is actually Skyline that heads right into Pacifica. And we're dropping right now into the golf course. But look at this, it's gorgeous. You've got the cypress trees. It's a really nice place to take a stroll. I think there's a 4-mile loop around the park. Some of the houses here, they're actually priced really well. It seems like there's 2 different categories, and we're gonna walk over. I'm gonna see if I can get you over into the neighborhood and show you what some of them look like. The homes selling over here, they're definitely not sitting around the market, which nothing really is right now. They are selling on average about 20% over asking, and you have a pretty good range. Like, it looks like a lot of them are smaller. So you have anywhere between 1,000 and 1,500 square foot homes. We'll walk and take a look at some of those. And those are all like 50s development. And then some of the ones that I was looking at as I was walking, which you can't see from here right now, but they were bigger. And those are ranging between 2,200 and about 3,000 square feet. And those are all built in like the 80s and 90s. So a little bit more of an updated floor plan, you know, with a gracious like open floor plan. On a price point basis, like for one of the smaller homes, you can get a home for about 1.5, which is pretty good for a 2 to 3 bedroom house in San Francisco. And for some of the bigger ones, they're running right around 800, really 900 to 1,000 a square foot. So depending on how big they are, somewhere between $2.2 and $3 million. What's the downside to this neighborhood? I'm gonna be honest. The weather is lacking, right? So if you're the kind of person that wants to wake up and feel the sun on their face every day, if you have many, many gloomy days in a row, it's gonna affect your mental health. This is probably not the neighborhood for you. However, if you're into biking or walking or running and just having like beauty outside of your door, it definitely is a good fit. A couple other things to note. If you want to have walkability to restaurants and maybe Chipotle or Wingstop is not your first choice, this might not be the neighborhood for you. If you want to have a little bit more interesting cuisines, you would need to like jump in your car and like maybe head over to West Portal or over to Noe Valley or wherever, whatever neighborhood of your choice. The walkability is a little lacking when it comes to walking to coffee. So there is Lakeshore Plaza, which has a lot in there. They have a Lucky's supermarket. I already mentioned, you know, the 2 restaurants. There's a Pete's Coffee. There's some other like dry cleaning and, you know, the various things like that. That is walkable, depending on where you are in the neighborhood. It's quite walkable. And if Lucky's is not your thing, you can't walk there, but you could drive to Stonestown and they have a Whole Foods and they also have a Trader Joe's, which is great. And of course, there's a bunch more of those same kind of restaurants in the mall. If you're looking for sun and walkability, you probably want to focus on areas like Noe Valley or Bernal on this side of town, right? But a lot of our buyers have been priced out of those areas and they are looking west already. And I have to say, this is not a neighborhood that's on their search. And what we're trying to do right now is actually, we're trying to source inventory for our buyers because there's so little to buy. And so like helping us and them, this market is helping us all think outside of the box a little bit. It's like, where else can we go? What else can we look at? It's fun to learn about some other areas. So if you're already looking in Mira Loma, or maybe you're looking in Sunnyside, this is a neighborhood that's kind of right there. I think it's worth adding to your list as well. I just think it's really rare to get something that feels so outdoor active in terms of having the beach and the golf course and a lake, you know, all of that area to roam around. The other thing that I like about being over here is the zoo. So if you are somebody who has young kids or just loves the zoo. I mean, I just know that when my kids were little, we spent a lot of time in the zoo. It was fun to meet friends there, see the animals, but they have one of the best playgrounds, I think, in the city. And I have 2 boys, so they also always really loved the steam engine trains, which were super fun. Oh, the other thing that I don't know if I mentioned, but right here, I think, I don't know if I'm pointing in the right direction, I think it's right there, is Fort Funston. If you've never been there, it's an awesome place to go and watch the hang gliders, like jump off the cliff and they go all up and down the ocean. It's very cool. So I want to show you some of the houses now that you've gotten to see the park, and it is gorgeous. There's also a clubhouse in here as well that's 20,000 square feet. So a lot of the neighbors and stuff come here and have dinner. But now that we've seen this, I want to walk you through and show you a little bit about the neighborhood. Okay, so I've walked over to the area that I was walking when I looked across the street from the park and I saw these houses and I was like, what are these houses? This little section of Lakeshore, this is Gillert's. These houses are pretty big. So these are the ones that you're going to find that are 2,200, 3,000 square foot-ish. And these are gonna be, you know, in the higher price points. And they were, I think, built a little bit later, but maybe not. I need to fact check myself on that. Most of the area, my understanding, is developed like for post-war vets in the 50s. This area of San Francisco, prior to that, it was all sand dunes and eucalyptus trees. And then they came in and developed this whole neighborhood. Now, one of the reasons why this neighborhood caught my attention is because one of you YouTube people who I love reached out to me about selling his house over here. And so it caught my eye. Hi, if you're watching. He had watched my video that we did over on Pine Lake, which is really close by, and should have a similar value trade, right, in terms of price. Like a lot of these neighborhoods are similarly priced. Oh, before I turn, right up in front of me right there, that's Lowell High School. And so if you don't know Lowell, if you're from San Francisco, you definitely know Lowell. But Lowell is one of the best public schools in the country. It's, I think, the only public school in San Francisco that you have to test into. It is in this neighborhood. So if you have a kid that is going to Lowell, you obviously would know this neighborhood. And if, you know, being able to walk to school is pretty awesome. Now we're into the smaller homes, right? So these are gonna be some homes that are gonna be trading between like probably the 1.5-ish range. And there's just some nice little streets here that loop around, somewhat quiet streets, detached homes, which is really nice. Though I have not sold a home in this neighborhood, I think the demographic and the kind of buyer that is moving out to this direction, the western direction, whether they're buying in Pine Lake or they're buying in Parkside. I think they're all very similar, right? So let me tell you some of those stories of buyers who we've worked with in these areas. Who doesn't want to be in a sunny, walkable neighborhood, right? But sometimes you just don't want to pay what it costs to live there, or you can't pay what it costs to live there. The buyers that we've worked with are looking for a bit bigger house where their money can stretch a bit further. You know, you can save anywhere between $500 and up to $1 million over neighborhoods like, maybe even more, over neighborhoods like Noe Valley. I mean, definitely more than Noe Valley, but Bernal, Glen Park, neighborhoods like that where you're getting some more sun and walkability. The other thing that buyers who are moving in this direction is also important to them is maybe you have a couple that's splitting a commute. So you have one side of the couple that works down in Menlo Park or Mountain View, and then the other person works downtown. So being able to like go in both directions is pretty good. You know, sometimes we hear from buyers that grew up in the Midwest like me, go Midwesterners, and they're just like, they want to buy a house that they don't have to move out of in 4 to 5 years, which is very common in San Francisco, that you're not getting your forever home on your first shot. But some of our buyers actually are just like, I want a big house, even though maybe I don't have kids yet, but I plan to have kids and I want to fill up these rooms with, you know, other friends and family. Maybe I would want to look at one of those homes that might trade for $2 to $3 million, where a home in another neighborhood of that size might cost $4 to $5 million. That's what we're seeing. And then obviously, you know, we definitely have had surfer clients who want to be near the beach, and this neighborhood is going to give you really good access to the ocean as well. Okay, so I'm gonna jump in the car and take you over to the Sunset Dunes so we can take a look at what that is. Before I do, I want to let you know we have a website that we developed just for you, and it's the only website in San Francisco where like on a map, you can look at all the videos that we're doing, and we're adding new neighborhoods that maybe you've never heard of or we never heard of, and we're learning just for you all of the time. Like every week we're dropping new videos in there, and so you can just go on the map and be like, okay, what's this neighborhood like? And there's just all the videos of the map. If you head over to the buy page, there's a contact button on there. It's like 30 seconds. You can hit that. That's a great way to get in touch with us. But I wanted to make sure that if you want to explore videos by neighborhood, you know about that. It's in the description below, so don't miss that. And let's run over and check out the new Sand Dunes Park. Okay, so we are headed over to Fort Funston first. We're gonna take a little quick detour because I want you to see all the fun things. I actually haven't been over there in a while. So we're gonna drop over and, you know, you can just see some of the stuff that's in this area. So again, like if you're shopping on this side of town, I think the thing that's different than like, you know, Parkside and, you know, some of the other neighborhoods that you might be considering is just so much access to nature, which I love. I think this should be on your radar, but like, so we're driving past the park. Again, it's like a 4.5 mile loop there. You can actually take as part of your run or your walk, whatever you're doing. You can even go up into Fort Funston, you know, right on foot. So I think it's a great neighborhood to traverse by foot, get out and enjoy the neighborhood. Landry and I were just talking about the weather, and, you know, he was saying like, well, I kind of feel like the weather, like the vibe of the park really kind of goes with the weather, which is true. Like, it's like, it has this kind of mist, like, you know, it's a little overcast. This is kind of what it looks like all the time. There's something kind of magical about the lake, and, you know, also like paddle boarding. You can fish in there. I can't believe I've never taken my son fishing there. He's always asking to go fishing. And I'm like, where do you want to go? The ocean? Like there's nowhere to fish, but I don't know why this never came to mind. We'll check this out, and then we'll pop over to the sand dunes as well. Have you guys ever done paragliding? Landry was just asking me if I've ever done that, and I was like, no. I'm pretty scared of heights, actually. I was telling him I actually did do some skydiving, but only because I was strapped to someone and they literally just jumped out of the plane, and so I had no choice. But look, there's actually some paragliders up here right now, which is really, maybe we'll get to see somebody launch. So we made it, and we have the hang gliders here and the ocean all the way to the south. It goes all the way down to Pacifica down there. And we're gonna go up here and see if we can see someone launch while we're here, which is gonna be amazing. Check out this view. Oh my gosh. We are looking over the Pacific Ocean. Pacifica is that direction. And I think this guy is getting ready to launch. Let's see if we can watch him launch off of here. I'm not sure how long it takes. Apparently we are standing next to what was like an old World War II bunker where they would watch out for ships and stuff coming in. Oh my goodness, I'm excited. Landry, let's watch. So while you're up here, if hang gliding isn't enough, there's a trail system up here as well. So right in front of me, there's a trail that you can walk and it goes down to Ocean Beach, or you can walk south on it down to Mussel Rock. And so depending on which way you go, you can get like 1.5 miles or even like 4 to 5 miles if you go down to Mussel Rock. So that's a nice way to spend a Saturday, right? All right, so we've made it down to Sand Dunes Park. So this is a big stretch of the Great Highway that they closed permanently last year. And it's the middle of the week, it's Thursday, and it's a little empty right now. But if you come down here on the weekend, you'll just see this is full of bikers, and we've got some fun little hammock action happening over here. You know, there's a lot of little entryways onto the beach off of here. It's a great way to get out with your friends, your family, yourself, walk around, get some exercise, biking, running, whatever's your deal. The other thing that I realized I forgot, I got distracted. A lot of times I get distracted. And we started talking about my client. Oh, hello. See, I got distracted. Okay, so I started talking about my client who's thinking about selling his house. And one of the things, so he bought in 2021. Now, there's only been 5 sales in the neighborhood in the last year. So it's not a lot of data to know for sure. I was analyzing the data and I was hoping that some of those sales could show me that, like, say something had closed in 2021 or 2022 and it's showing a bump. Unfortunately, I just don't think people leave the neighborhood. Like, the homes had all last traded like 20 or 30 years ago, if you can believe that. You know, on a given year, there's anywhere, depending on the year, there's anywhere between about 11 and 20 sales per year. And I think that the neighborhood has not yet come all the way back up to 21, 22 prices, which, if you've been following me for a while, you know one of the things I'm always trying to teach you all things, always trying to help you get ahead of the market. And we've talked about the wave before, right? So the prices kind of go up from the center part of town, and then it starts reaching other neighborhoods. My guess is it hasn't fully reached the Lakeshore neighborhood in terms of the appreciation. Now, that could change at any second, and I hope it changes the second that we bring that house on the market, which I'll be excited to get in there and show you so you can see what a house over there looks like, and we can do kind of a part 2 to this video. Oh my gosh, look at these hammocks, they're so fun. Landry, can you get those? I love those. Let's see if they're comfortable. They're not that comfy. They kind of hurt. I think you can still get a deal if there are deals to be had, because I don't think it's all the way up. Now, the second I bring that house on, we're gonna make it go all the way up, so watch out. But this is me trying to teach you how to find a way to get a little better price at a time that's really hard to get a good price. Hopefully you liked our tour today. I just think this has got to be one of the best neighborhoods in San Francisco for access to the outdoors. I tried to show you as much of it as I could. If you're interested in watching other neighborhoods like close by, Lauren on my team, she did a great video on Parkside. So I will drop that right here and you can check that out. And if you want to get in contact with us, feel free to reach out to us in any of the ways below. Otherwise, I'll see you here next Monday at 5.